Welcome to the Elevate You Show, where we provide winning solutions for entrepreneurs and creative artists to elevate their business, mindset, spirit, health, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Tamira Wilson, and I'm here to help you go a little bit higher so that you can have the business and lifestyle you've always wanted. Hello and welcome to the Elevate You Show. I'm your host, Tamira Wilson, and today I want to talk to you about a very interesting topic. It's how to elevate you with reading. How many of you like to read and how many of you don't? Well, if you don't like to read, I hope that after you get finished watching this or listening to this, that you will be inspired and encouraged to pick up a book and read. So I want to talk to you about the amazing benefits of reading. But before I do, I want to share some very interesting statistics. Did you know that 20% of Americans read below the level that is needed to earn a living wage? Did you know that 50% of American adults can't even read a book written at an 8th grade level? And did you know 6 out of 10 American households don't even purchase a book within the entire year? Is that sad? I'm sorry, that is just so sad to me. Maybe it's because I read a lot and I know the benefits that it does for me personally, which is why I want to share this with you so that it will encourage you to pick up a book and read. All right, so now that I discussed the statistics, I just want to dive into some of the benefits. And there's about 11 benefits I want to share with you. Starting with benefit number 1. It helps to expand your vocabulary. How? Because as you're reading, you're being exposed to new words. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I'm reading a book, I come across a lot of words that I don't know what the meaning of it is. So, and if you're like me, what do? We either, if we want to know what the word is about, sometimes some people may skip over that and just don't even bother taking the time to learn what that word means in that sentence, or maybe because the book is just too good and they just don't have the time, or they just have no interest whatsoever. But for some of us, we will take the time to search in Mr. Google what that word is, or we may have an app on our phone, or we just, we find out what that word means and understand it. And then you can add that word to your memory bank. All right. So that whenever you're having a conversation with someone, you can pull out that word from your memory bank. And if your memory bank is empty, then sometimes, I don't know about you, but you may struggle with finding a word that you can properly use in a sentence. Do you ever have a conversation with someone and either you yourself struggle with trying to find a word to use? Sometimes that happens to all of us. I know I go through that sometimes. Typically, mine is probably from having a scattered brain, because sometimes my mind is like all over the place. That could be like my ADD. But, or me having a little bit of dyslexia. Anyway, or you yourself are speaking, or you're listening to someone speak, and that person has a hard time figuring out a word to properly use in a sentence. And they pause and struggle with it. So that's how I can expand your vocabulary. Another benefit is that it helps to improve your memory. How? Because it helps sharpen and strengthen your memory by stimulating a certain area in your brain that helps you to stay focused. Another benefit is that it helps to decrease depression. How? Because it stimulates a certain part of your brain that deals with depression, and it somewhat kind of calms it down. So that's another benefit. It helps to decrease depression. Another benefit is that it helps increase your writing skills. Some of you may hate writing, but for me, I like to write. And I find personally that as I read more books from authors, it helps me to become a better writer. I mean, I am a published author on Amazon. I have a nutrition book on chia seeds, the benefits of chia seeds. And it's basically a 30-day challenge, just implementing chia seeds in your diet. And I have different recipes and, for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks and things like that. But as an author, it helps me to read other authors because it helps me to become a better writer, because you get a chance to see how other authors structure their book, the language that they use, the outline of their book, and so many other things that you'll learn. And it just helps me become a better writer. Another benefit is that it helps to increase your intelligence. It helps increase your intelligence because, as Dr. Seuss said, the more you know, the more you read, the more you know. And I love knowledge. I love learning new things. And having knowledge is very, very valuable. Why? Because it just puts you in a place where you just know a little bit more than the average person. And I like having knowledge. It's so valuable that people will pay for information products to learn something that no one else knows or the average person doesn't know, because they take the time to invest in buying knowledge. That's why a lot of people buy real estate books on investing or learning how to invest in stocks and things like that. Learning how to, whatever your niche is or something that you want to learn, you buy a book on it, right? So that's how it helps increase your knowledge. Another way that reading helps you is that it boosts your creativity and imagination. So think about all of the novels that maybe you have written, whether it was a novel, a suspense book, or a fiction or nonfiction book, or a business book, or a spirituality book. Sometimes it helps you get out of your own mind and get into the mind of the characters or the author himself or herself. And at least it does for me. And before you know it, your creative juices start flowing because you're reading another book from another author. So that's another benefit. It helps me tremendously to get my creative juices flowing all the time. It doesn't matter what kind of book it is. It could be personal development, business, to suspense, to fiction. It doesn't matter. A book on poetry, that really helps get my creative juices flowing. Another benefit in reading is that it gives you the ability to learn from other mentors. What do I mean by that? It helps you to sit at the feet of others who have gone before you. I mean, there are great leaders that have passed on, like Nelson Mandela and Gandhi, and just so many leaders. Martin Luther King. Who else? The owner of Walmart. If I told you that I'm going to have all these individuals in my house, well, if they were living, you would pay a ticket to come fly out to my house so that you can sit at the feet of all that wisdom, all that knowledge, the secrets that they would pour out unto you on how they were so successful as a leader, as an entrepreneur, or whatever their mission was in life. You would pay, wouldn't you? If not, something's wrong with you. But anyway, yes, that's what I'm talking about as far as having the ability to learn from mentors. Now, I personally have mentors in my life because I have done many things. I'm thankful and grateful that I have been able to experience different things, but I don't know it all. So I'd rather learn from someone that is at a level where I'm trying to get to, or they have their roadmap to help me get from point A to point Z. Right? So I have all these mentors on my bookshelf. They're right in the privacy of my home. And you can do the same by just collecting a variety of books and having your arsenal. As I'm telling you, you can learn so much. So another benefit is reading helps you sleep better. It helps you sleep better because, especially if you're picking up a book to read right before you go to sleep at night. Reading helps trigger an area in your mind that just tells the body that, hey, it's time to wind down. It's time to get in sleep mode. And it helps you to relax and to sleep better. And it's a lot better reading than opposed to falling asleep to a TV screen that's watching you and you're not watching it. And I hope, by the way, that you're not watching my show while you're falling asleep. Because I want you to be alert, ready to hear, ready to learn what I'm sharing with you. All right, enough of that. So another benefit is that reading helps to reduce stress. How? Because it relaxes you. I don't know about you, but reading relaxes me. And there was a study shown that reading helps reduce stress by up to 68%. That's a pretty high percentage. And with that benefit alone, everybody should be running to the library or somewhere or ordering a book online to read a book. Another benefit is that it helps boost your brain power. Yes, it does. Now, if you exercise like me, if you do any type of jogging or aerobics, you know that it is very beneficial to your cardiovascular system, right? Well, reading helps exercise your brain function, with your memory. And we are all aware that as we age, our memory declines. I mean, this research backs it up that as we age, our memory declines. So research says that if we read on a regular basis, that it helps slow the process of our memory declining. So that's why it's important to read a lot. And research also showed that brain exercise was able to lower mental decline by up to 32%. That's not real high, but it's not real low either. 32%, that's pretty good. Which brings me to my final benefit, which is reading helps fight Alzheimer's disease. They said that for those who engage in brain activity, such as reading, playing chess, or doing puzzles, that it significantly helps reduce that memory decline. And that people are 2.5 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease just by regularly reading or doing activities that will boost your brain memory, as opposed to just doing inactivities with your brain, like maybe just sitting around watching TV all day. So if you are one that sit around and watch TV all day, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. That's good that you have all this time on your hand that you can just, that's what you like to do. That's what you enjoy doing is watching TV. But in the long run, maybe you're young right now, or maybe you're older right now. Maybe you're in your 60s or your 70s or your 80s, and you haven't, if you're not one to read a lot, I challenge you to just pick up a book and start reading. Or if you don't like to read, do a puzzle or something, crossword puzzle, something that is stimulating your brain. And I can attest to that because when I think about my grandparents growing up, when I would go visit them, I would always see my grandfather reading a newspaper. I mean, always. He would watch TV. I would see him watch TV sometimes, but he always read the paper from front cover to the end. Always. He was always reading something, especially that newspaper. He loved reading the newspaper. Now, my grandmother, on the other hand, I don't recall ever seeing her reading anything. If she watched a lot of TV, you know, when I look back on that and then look at it now, when I visit them at the nursing home, they were both in the same nursing facility. God bless their souls. They are no longer with us. But I remember my grandmother, her memory started declining. Whereas my grandfather, he didn't have any issues with memory loss or dementia or Alzheimer's, but my grandmother did. Both of them, their minds were sharp growing up. Like my grandmother, she could remember things, I mean, very detailed things. She could tell you the days that it happened. Same with my grandfather, but it's just funny as they aged, and again, as I was visiting them, I did notice the difference. So I think I would have to agree with some of the research because I witnessed it firsthand with my grandparents. And so I would highly encourage you to pick up a book. You know, in closing, I just want to say there is no excuse not to read. There are so many ways that you can read. If you don't like reading, maybe you would prefer listening to a book on Audible. They have Audible now where you can download books and listen to it. I do both sometimes. Sometimes I'll read up to 2 to 3 books in the same month. I read a lot. I love reading, and because I learn so much. And you can cut your learning curve in half just by having mentors. I mean, I pay for mentors, and I also have mentors in a lot of books that I read. But there's no excuse, guys. The library is free. It's full of books. I am like a book nerd. I used to live at the library. I go to the library all the time. But there's like phone apps that you can download apps for your library. There's just no excuse. No excuse, guys, not to read. So I want to share with you a few of my favorite books that really inspires me. It has transformed my life, my thinking, my way of doing things. One is the Bible. I love reading the Bible. It's full of wisdom, no matter what you're going through. If you want to learn about relationships, even business, how to raise your kids, like having the right mindset, everything is in the good book, the Bible. Another book that I like is by O.G. Mandino. It's called The Greatest Miracle in the World. This is a book about, it reveals like different secrets on your personal happiness and success. You see how short this book is, but it is very, very powerful. I really like that book. I have a lot of books, guys, but I'm only just showing you 1, 2, 3, 4. This book is from a dear friend of mine who I met as a professional speaker. Her name is Marquita Miller. It's called Faithpreneur. And this really encouraged me because it allowed me, you know, there was a time when I was struggling with, as a speaker, like, can I integrate my faith with my business? So this book really helped me, Faithpreneur. This book has so many gold nuggets in it. I mean, it talks about how to get your business set up the correct way, you know, with LLCs and so forth, in a different ways, and explanation on which is best for you. And one quote that was in her book that I really like, she said, "God is not an agent for your failure, but for your success." I just love that quote. Yes. God is not an agent for your failure, but for your success. But this book really encouraged me. I read this at a time where I just didn't know. I was going through a rough time in my life when I met her and this book came. But anyway, grab this book, Faithpreneur by Marquita Miller. She's now married. So the last book I want to share with you, this book everybody should have. Everybody should have this book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. If you don't have it, and if you've never heard about Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, shame on you. Where have you been? Where have you been? That is a book that you need to go, because Napoleon Hill, he interviewed a lot of wealthy people on what was their success, how they got to where they are. And it's an excellent book. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you in today's show. I want to leave you with a quote by Richard Steele. It says, "Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body." That's pretty self-explanatory, right? Exercise is good to the body, reading is good to the mind. So get out there and grab a book and start reading. I guarantee you will have all of these wonderful and experience all of these benefits if you would just try. I challenge you. So with that being said, I'm going to close out. That will conclude my topic, today's show. And as always, go out and elevate and celebrate you, because guess what? No one else may do it. And if no one else has, I celebrate you today. God bless, and until next time.